Alex Saldana, the man, the myth, the legend, realtor extraordinaire, flipper extraordinaire. And, one of the more popular guys that out of towners call when they're moving to Colorado because of your awesome YouTube channel. So I know plenty of out of state folks who are moving here who are learning about our wonderful state because of you.
Thank you.
So anyway,
good to be here again. Good to talk with you.
Yeah, nice to have you again. So let's dig into it. So you got a flip, and I lend money on flips.
Yep.
So one thing we have investors. It's not only our money that we lend to flippers and to farmers, but it's other people's money. And so just because I know you, just because I like you, just because I trust you and we have history doesn't mean squat, right?
Yep.
We have to, well, I guess it does, but we have to trust but verify. So with every deal, we talk these deals through. We do the full loan package. I already know you're excellent at what you do because you've been doing it for years and I've watched you do it. But again, trust but verify. So let's tear into this one. What you got?
Yeah. So this one, it's turned out to be my bread and butter, sort of flips over the years. There's not many townhomes around the Denver metro market, but whenever I come across them, I like them. They're easy. There's nothing to worry about on the exterior, the roof, sewer lines. You're responsible for 10 feet of it versus 100 feet. And so you can look at it and virtually on paper, you're like, yeah, I know the numbers. I know the rehab. I know cost per square foot to fix them up, whatever. So this one is in by the Del Mar neighborhood in Aurora. And it's not the San Francisco style ones. Those are actually my true bread and butter ones. But HOAs are low, $2 to $250 a month sort of stuff, which is on the low end in Denver. Townhome, so you don't have the condo issues, right? You don't have non-warrantable sort of stuff. You don't have FHA issues. They're true townhomes. And this one, is actually from a friend of mine who's a wholesaler who I do trust, right? Trust and verify because, as you know, this industry, everybody gets paid upon the deal, and only when the deal happens. And this one's pretty straightforward, purchase price of $280, right? So exit price is going to be conservatively, we've been running about 5 to 7% below what we actually think things are going to sell for these days, just because seller concessions come out of the woodworks, market shift, longer hold time, whatever it may be. Sales price we're pegging to be $380 on the low end. Okay. As long as we can have this ready in the spring before the first week of May, hopeful number is 400, and we're solidly in it for 41 grand, I guess, is the rehab, right? Just kitchen, 2 bathrooms, flooring, carpet, paint, and some other minor things to it. So almost a full cosmetic job for it.
Gotcha. So I wouldn't call this a base hit. I'd call this a strong double.
I'd call it a strong double, right? Yeah. It'd be base hit if we get hit with a $5,000 to $10,000 seller concession and we sell at 380, right? It'll be more on the double if we have either no concessions or we sell for 390 or above, right? Solid.
And this price point, I mean, there's plenty of buyers at this price point. And I want to go back to what you said earlier. This is a townhome, not a condo.
Correct.
And so what you were referring to, for those of you who don't know the land game, is this: if you have a condo, you essentially own the air inside the building, right? And condos can be warrantable or non-warrantable. Non-warrantable means, hey, maybe too many of the units are owned by a single landlord, right? And they're all rented out. Maybe there's some insurance issues. Maybe it's attached to some commercial property. There's a lot of reasons a condo will be non-warrantable. Essentially, if it's non-warrantable, you have far fewer buyers, right? Because you have far fewer lenders, and not every buyer is going to a mortgage broker with 60, lenders in a pipeline. Many of them are going to just straight banks. They go into Wells Fargo or whatever, and those, quite often will never do non-warrantable. So, as a side note, if I had to start my real estate investing game all over again right now in 2024, I'd start with townhomes. I really like townhomes for all the reasons you articulated, right? There's a layer of if you're getting the buy and hold game, there's a layer of management known as the HOA. And so if the HOA is reasonable at $250, and for Denver, Denver Metro, that's a very reasonable rate. You've got a layer of management. They're taking care of the exterior. Like you said, that you're responsible for 10 feet of the sewer line as opposed to 100. Mm-hmm. And you and I both know, anybody who's been in, the real estate game for a while knows that sewers can get you and they can sting. You could spend 10 grand easy on a bad sewer, if not more, to replace a line. So I like townhomes all the way. And again, if I could start over again, this is what I'd do. I'd stick to townhomes.
100%.
Excellent. What else? Tell me, so you're buying it for 280.
Yep.
Let's talk loan terms a little, right?
Yep. Totally.
You've got scratch in the game. Lenders always like to see flippers with scratch in the game. So give me the generals of what you're going to do, what you're looking for. Give it to me.
Yeah, so pulling up my spreadsheet here, which, by the way, if any of your viewers want it, I'm happy to share it. It's been something I've been working on for many, many years, and it breaks down, we when we buy a deal, we always have 3 exit strategies, right? Which is, can we turn it fast and make more than 50% of what we would if we went through the full flip, right? Okay. Can we do a very light rehab? Can we do a carpet and paint job and make more than 75% of what we would make if we did the full flip, or do we do the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And on this one, we're going to go through the whole thing because time of year plays a big determining factor on what we decide to do. If we buy it in November, we want to turn it as quickly as possible. We buy it in January, we want to hold it until March and April, right? Gotcha. And so looking and, knowing our average turn on a property is about 128 days. Okay, that's from close to close, bell to bell, and speccing that in with a 4-month hold, sales price of 380, repairs of 40, purchase price of 280, holding in like 1.5% for buy side closing costs, hold open policy. If you don't know what those are, folks, you really need to do them. You save yourself about $1,000 to $2,000 per deal, and if you don't ask for them, most title companies don't give them to you. Simplest way to save money. Awesome. Closing costs on the sell side, I don't calculate in my fees as an agent on the sell side and profit margin, which most agents do when they flip houses. I think that's a mistake. It's a separate business. There's way easier ways to make commission on a property than buying it and reselling it.
Yes, there is.
It's a totally different business. So we take out, 6% on the sales cost, just like you would if you were selling any properties. And on this one, we have our fund of money, right, that we use. But knowing the time of year, our plan is to be acquiring 3 or 4 more in the next 4 to 8 weeks, hopefully, if the market softens just a little bit. Just give us some breathing room. But damn it, no one's selling right now. Like it's tough right now on the buy side. And so we're looking to borrow essentially 70% approximately of the purchase price, right? No rehab. I don't like draws. I don't like relying on someone else to give me draws. I don't like borrowing too much because I don't like my hard money cost to be a lot, right? Period. So if we end up with more properties, that's when we'll look at it and try to, fudge with the numbers and go, okay, hey, can we borrow another 100,000 on something? But it depends on deal flow, and deal flow is tight right now. Yep. And so if we hold it for 4 months, right, which is a long hold for us, at borrowing 70%, we're speccing in about, 10 grand on the cost of the loan, right? Yep. Is what we have accounted for. And so hopefully it turns into a 2-month hold, right? Our rehab on this will take us about 3 weeks approximately because nothing major is happening. The biggest wait time is going to be cabinets. Other than that, we're all ready to rock and roll. We already got everything else that we need essentially. And so with that, 380 sale, 40 rehab, 280 purchase, 10 grand in hold costs for money, another miscellaneous few percent. That'd be about a 19K profit another 9,500 on the listing side profit, and that's at 380. So, that turns into 390 to 400, which is, appraisal wise, I think we're safe even over 400 if we get the offer. And all of a sudden that's a solid win.
I mean, this is a no-brainer for us as lenders, right? We've got a seasoned flipper that we have a relationship with. They've got scratch in the game. They're not borrowing, money for the rehab. We're not lending them, 120% of the purchase price here. We're lending them 70% of the purchase price, and then you are handling the rest. It makes it for a really low risk loan for us. Me as an investor, us at Acres First Lending, our investment committee, it's three of us, and we look at these deals and we look at them all the time. I mean, this will be a quick yes. We're going to verify your numbers on the spreadsheet. We've got all the docs in, you got us our docs in what, 2 hours, I mean, this is a pro, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you do. These flippers who want to do a deal and it takes them 4 weeks to send us the contract, they're not in it to win it, right? If they have a hard time uploading their driver's license, okay, they're not in it to win it. I mean, probably the only thing that kept you from getting it to us like the instant I gave it to you is maybe you had to eat some lunch, right? I mean, it was just,
I was in the middle of a deep dive into numbers for year end and the marketing numbers for the beginning. And what I've learned over years in this business is that it is so easy to be distracted. And I knew we have 30 days to close on this thing. They asked me the last time I bought a property that took me 30 days to close on. Like, it doesn't happen. I mean, hell, last year we had one with an HOA that we closed in 3 days, for crying out loud. Like, that's our strong suit, and you need to be able to do it. And the only way we can, especially with borrowing money from someone like you, is to be like, hey, there's no risk in it for you. Give me 50% of the whole deal, so that way I can still be liquid enough to buy another one or two or three. And let's get it done. Like, I can't have you coming to me the day before closing with a desk review on a property that, is a little thin. No, I want it to be thick all across the board. I don't want there to be any issues whatsoever. And so that's how we structure it. That's why we love working with you. And that relationship, especially when it comes to money, is extremely important.
Yeah, relationship. Yeah, the relationships are everything. And I gave you a hard time, trust but verify. I mean, of course we've got to, but we build these loan packages and we build them pretty quick with folks like you. I mean, this is easy work for us. We're not begging for anything. We're not like, wondering if you're in it to win it, because you are. And we look forward to doing many of these loans with you. And like you said, a 30-day hard money loan is pretty darn rare. They're often 5 days, 7 days. Like you said, sometimes you got to bang it out in 3 days. It's way easier to bang it out in 3 days with somebody like you, because it's like, okay, here's the title company, here's the insurance, here's our docs, here's the contract. I mean, and especially when we've got money sitting there ready to be allocated. I mean, we hope that we're never the bottleneck. It's usually title, right? And I don't blame, this day and age with so few deals happening, the volume's just down. Everybody can move fast. Everybody. So, this is great. Now, before we hop off here, give me your history as a flipper. I mean, I know it, right? But let's tell some people who might be watching this video.
Yeah. So started in 2010, essentially, right? Friend of a friend sort of situation. Hey, is this even possible? I had just gotten out of a software company that I had helped launch, get to more of a nationwide level, and just every sales trick in the book, working with car dealers. And if you didn't ask them 6 different closing questions, they didn't respect you. And then I got into the flipping world, running my own businesses, stuff like that. And that was a lot more intriguing. And then, I had someone come to me essentially, which I look back as like an angel investor, which is the best relationship I've ever had. in business, period. We talk once or twice a year. It's all about the numbers. He's got X amount bookmarked for to be able to flip. He just happened to run into the right situation. So I had a little bit of luck on the front end, but I also knew he can make 10% or more every year on his money, right?
Yeah.
By going in the stock market, just putting in the S&P 500. So it was always my goal to make him more through me using his money than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
And so it's always about putting the other people first. Even if he makes more money than I do, I'd rather him continue that relationship, because the opportunities without it, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
And so since then, we're not on the big scale, right? We're not doing 30, 40, 50 a year, but we're consistently doing anywhere from 3 on a low end to, 8 to 10 on the upper end. Just me, myself. I've got my
Mhm.
other partner, Denver Property Flip, who's my broker owner as well. He's my general contractor, funny enough. So everything is done in-house there. We do another 15 to 30 a year in different capacities, whether that's us buying it or because we're agents as well. We'll tell them, hey, we can make you 10% more if you just let me list it for you, right? Period. But it'll
Yeah.
take 30 to 60 days. Or option 3, which is actually our unique selling proposition, is we'll flip your house for you, right?
Yeah.
So if it's, let's take this house, for example, this is a prime example. All right, 280 is our cash number, or we can put 40 into it. We will loan you that money. We will do the work, and we will make money on that. So we'll make, 6,000 on that money, 15%, and say, okay, rehab's now 46,000, but we're going to be able to sell it for you at 380. That might turn into 400. And instead of making, 280 on the deal, you're going to net 320, but it's going to take us 4 to 6 months to get there. Right.
Right.
And so every option we approach with everybody, essentially on our deal list, I just ran the numbers, 1 out of 4 turns into a cash purchase. The other 3 either turn into listings or, the fix and list approach, which is what we do, because you got to capitalize on everything right now. Cost of acquisition is over 5 to 6 grand per deal in Denver.
Okay.
And that's on a flip, and you're hoping to make 35,000, right? 700% ROI on your ad spend, right? But ask me how many times we've made 10 to 15, or
Right. Right.
so the listing is just there to keep the money flowing. The fix and list, we make a little bit more. And then, every 1 out of 4 deals we buy for cash, and we'll make a fair amount,
Mhm.
but it's business. This isn't the 80 grand of flip numbers. I've had one flip in my career that's made me north of 80 grand, and it was all luck.
Right. Right.
It was
Right.
a duplex split. It was when I learned how to split duplexes in Denver. And I was one of the, few doing it at the time. And so it was a huge opportunity. Did a good chunk of those. That was awesome until everybody else caught on and took that play away. And so it's just constantly reinventing what you like doing, what works for you. And yeah, I've been doing it since 2010. So now with 23, 24 years, holy crap. Flipped a lot of houses, have only lost on 2. And that's the reality of it, right? And they were
That's
small
amazing.
losses, but that's part of the game. But we're pretty conservative on our numbers, right? So that's the only thing that's kept us in for so long, because unfortunately I've known quite a few people to get knocked out of the market. The rehab costs will kill you every single time, and we see it time and time again, which is why I ended up partnering with who was my GC at the time, who now owns the brokerage, because we can control the costs,
Right.
right? Um,
Yeah. One
yeah,
thing I see with you, and I repeat this in a lot of the articles I write, and just my way of looking at everything, is the word discipline, right? You have this tier system. You're obviously, investor first, client first, and you have that discipline to, um, not be swinging for these unicorns that,
yeah,
I've been pitched so many unicorns as a lender. And then when I look at them in 5 minutes, I know it's BS in 5 minutes. And, I don't know how many folks that they're getting to bite on these deals. I would assume, 1 out of 1,000. Some of them are really hard, but you've never brought me a BS deal, right?
Yep.
Because you're disciplined. You're saying, hey, this is a base hit. This is a solid double. And you're right. What did you say? You've only had one deal where you've made 80 or 90?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was a total mistake. Like, I'll be friggin' honest with everybody here. It was a mistake. A wholesaler actually brought it to me, which I've only bought like 3 or 4 deals from wholesalers over my career, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're the middlemen that are there to squeeze as much as possible out of a deal, right?
Yep.
That's what real estate agents do. They're just unlicensed, you know? Same difference. And he came to me with a deal that didn't go to his email blast yet because he screwed up my previous one that I was going to buy from him. And so I
Okay.
was gonna do it, and then someone else snaked the deal first or something like that. And so he brought me another one that didn't even go out to his list yet, and I happened to buy it. And rehab went up by 50%, but the sales price just exploded, and it was a total accident. It was not a planned thing. Yeah, no, and my partner too, who's flipped hundreds of houses in Denver. Yeah, I think he's had 1 or 2 that have been north of the 80 mark, which I feel like is what you always see on HGTV, right?
Yeah.
And it's a total farce, you know. So it's a grind, and I don't care who you talk to. Making 30 to 40 grand on a flip is really good money, and you don't need many of those to have a really good life.
Right. And you're doing, say 5 to 10 on your own. Then you've got your partner that you're doing, far
Yep.
more with. You've got your brokerage. You got your YouTube channel, and
Yep.
I've just enjoyed watching. I'm from Colorado, and for whatever reason, I'm watching you go on these camping trips,
Yeah.
talking about Colorado. I don't know. Anyway, for those listening, you should check out Alex's YouTube channel. It's pretty darn good. All right. Anything else about this deal, or anything else? Any wisdom you can give us moving forward?
Geez. You know, I had a good conversation this morning, and this just the piggybacks on relationships. I know the last time we talked, you asked me about things that I'm grateful for in this business, and it does come down to relationship. There's literally 4 or 5 of you guys that I trust in this business, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it, and
Yeah.
that's saying a lot. Like that, I even have that many. It's you, it's Armando, it's Eric, it's Keith, and that's the 4.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, and he's a contractor, right? And he's a phenomenal GC for flips. He'll do new builds in Cherry Hills, but yet he can also still do a flip for me, and it's within reason, right? And
Awesome.
he understands that world. And he had a client, potential client, looking at a flip that he wanted a bid for. Armando said it was a scrape. Like, this is a typical wholesaler sort of situation. Hey, it needs 60 grand worth of work. And he goes in and he's like, no, man, this is an entire scrape. And he wouldn't say it's a scrape unless it was a scrape. Investor got pissed at him because he's like, dude, I don't want to give you a bid because at the end of the day, your cosmetic job can't be done. It's not even possible. It's a scrape.
Mm-hmm.
Got mad at him. Armando isn't used to being treated like that because he works with relationship based clients all the time. And it made me realize like how nasty this business can be really fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how when money's involved, people do silly things. And I'm grateful for people like you, Armando, my partner, Eric, where when shit goes sideways, which it will, that, we can lean on each other and come to heads and go, hey, neither of us made any money on this one. That sucks. Are we good? Like, are we still okay?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to have those conversations is top of my list, because we will make more money together in the next 5 to 10 years than doing a one-off transaction where one of us burns each other.
Oh, that you're exactly 100% right. And the life that I'm building, have built to a degree, and continue to build, is working with people like you that I trust, that I like, that I know aren't out there to cut me off at the knees, right? And there are plenty of those folks roaming around. Plenty. I mean, it's a big money business, right? And where there's big
Yep.
money, there's obviously going to be big predators. That reminds me of a deal. I love this gratitude. I love, and it's ending any show with a little gratitude. So let me just give you one. Me and my
Yep.
buddy are doing a flip. He made a dumb decision. And $10,000 hit. on a mistake, right?
Yep.
First thing he says to me, Chris, I'll eat it. This is mine. I made this mistake. I will eat it. Next thing I said to him is I said, we will eat it. And we're going to go, make more on the next one. Right.
Yeah.
Because it easily could have been me making that mistake. Right. And I would have said the same thing. Hey, dude. Hey, Alex, I screwed up. I'm going to eat this. But keeping those relationships together where you can work with somebody for 10, 15, 20, a lifetime. I mean, that stuff is rare. And to your point about all the people we know in this business and how many we trust, I don't know how many agents I've interacted with as a lender. Hundreds.
Yeah.
The number of agents that I would refer my mom to, right, my family to, is in the single digits.
Yeah.
Okay. So enough said there. I'm trying to end with gratitude, and it's supposed to be gratitude to you, not talking shit about other agents that I've dealt with. Somehow that came up. All right, buddy. Well, hey, you got us your docs yesterday. Your loan's going to be approved today. It takes a day. If this was a 3-day close, it would have taken an hour. Really, it's just looking at all this stuff and getting in touch with title, right? Confirming insurance's title. That's the kind of the bottleneck there. Vetting you, I mean, those days I vetted you years ago. So anyway, thanks for coming to us with this. Thanks for talking to everybody about it on this show, and to many more, my friend.
Likewise, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.